This is The Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral.com.
Good morning, Tuscaloosa. Good morning, Tuscaloosa, Internet world. West Alabama, how we doing today on a Friday? It's the Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central, BamaCentral.com. Hope you and yours are doing well, having a great day. We are live in the Derek Daniels State Farm Studios right here off McFarland Boulevard, ready to talk to you on the Bama Central YouTube channel, the Bama Central Facebook page. You're listening to us on Apple Podcast, Amazon, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast, you can find the Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central. We're proudly presented by Purple Turtle Roofing. Visit them online at roofturtle.com for all of your products and services. They'll come out and give you a free roof inspection. Make sure that you have the peace of mind that you deserve. Check them out online at roofturtle.com. We're going to have a big day today. Going to have a lot of fun today with our friends Theo Fernandez and Henry Sklar. You can follow Theo Fernandez at Theo Fernandez _ and Henry Sklar at Henry O. Sklar on the Twitter machine. We're going to have a lot of fun talking a little Alabama A-Day with Henry. We're going to continue. We talked A-Day a lot this week, rightfully so. The week after A-Day, we're going to talk a little bit about his perspective from A-Day. We're going to talk about Alabama basketball's newest commit. Is he technically a transfer portal get? He was committed to NC State. Now he's not going to NC State. He's coming to Alabama. Cole Cloer is joining the Crimson Tide. So we'll talk about what Cole Cloer is going to give Nate Oates, and we'll just talk about some NFL draft stuff with Henry as well as it relates to the Philadelphia Eagles. So that's going to be the game plan today. You're welcome to leave us a comment, any of those platforms I just mentioned, or send us a voicemail at 205-462-7340, extension 800. Theo, good morning. How we doing? You ready for a weekend?
I'm ready for a weekend. It's been a long week, but we're out and we'll wrap things up strong today.
Excited? How many? I was listening to the radio on the way in, and they were debating how many games for Alabama this weekend: 0, 1, 2, or 3 against the Texas Longhorns.
We want to go into this right now?
One answer. 0, 1, 2, 3. One game. All right, so we'll see what Alabama baseball can do. Follow Alabama baseball with Theo Fernandez _ as they take on the Texas Longhorns. Henry, good morning, sir. Great to see you. Thanks so much for stepping in for me a couple of different times in the last couple of weeks. We appreciate that. How are you doing, sir?
Good. Finals almost here for me and Theo. Morgan Wallen weekend. Vibes are pretty high. So, yeah.
There you go. Are you going to Morgan Wallen this week?
I'm not personally, but it's still a big weekend. You could still kind of feel the buzz in the air.
You're not lying there. The buzz is buzzing in Tuscaloosa over Morgan Wallen. Like, how many 18-wheelers have come into town? They're everywhere, and the photos coming out from inside Bryant-Denny Stadium look incredible. So if you're going to Morgan Wallen tomorrow night, we hope that you have a lot of fun. Enjoy yourself responsibly, but enjoy yourself and enjoy the first concert in Bryant-Denny Stadium in 40 years? I think it was since 1992.
That sounds right. It was Alabama, right?
Wild. So it's going to be a lot of fun. But no, I will not be participating in concerting. I'm going to be doing Alabama-Kentucky softball tonight and Saturday. And then Henry is going to be covering Alabama-Kentucky softball on Sunday. So Katie Wyndham's going to be out on the softball front this weekend, handling some personal business. And we will be covering softball and having a lot of fun on BamaCentral.com. But Henry, let's start with this. First, thanks so much for hanging out with us today. But you were at Bryant-Denny Stadium last week, not for a concert, but for football. We talked to Hunter DeCiver on Tuesday about A-Day. Theo and I have talked a lot about A-Day this week. What did you think about the team? What they look like? What were your takeaways? National championship?
Yeah, so my general takeaway from A-Day was that if I was as a fan, I would feel a little more confident leaving A-Day than I probably was going in, just because I feel like, there were a lot of question marks, and I guess a regular fan doesn't get to see all the practices and they don't have the same access. So I'd feel a little more confident just because, you got to see some big throws from Keelan Russell. You got to see some big catches from your freshman receiver, Sadarian Morgan. Daniel Hill looked really good at running back. He had a few big runs. And the trenches on offense looked more solid than I thought even. And then defensively, you still have a really good cornerback room. And the front seven, Alabama's offense kind of they did a lot of what they wanted, but Alabama's front seven still, made some plays too. It's kind of hard with the no contact on the quarterback to get a really good judgment. But I think it was an overall solid day. And I mean, there are a lot more questions like I feel that are answered that, maybe it wouldn't be the headline grabbing thing, like the kicking question. Are we going to be running it back with Connor Talty, or are we going to go with the new guy, Lorcan Quinn from Ireland, right? Lou Gorza last year, Marshall goes out there, hits 242-yarders or whatever it was, 47. I can't remember right now. And then he hit another 30-yarder, I'm pretty sure. So 3 for 3 on field goals from him. Obviously, the Noah Rogers thing hurts a little bit because, we were hearing he was having a big spring and, just a weird play. He went down, fell down on his arm, it looked like, and then he had a brace on his leg, I think. If you correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, no, you're dead on. It's either this lower body, it's knee or ankle. It's knee.
When I first saw him go down, I definitely thought it was like something with his arm, but it was his leg, and he got carted off. So, but yeah, that obviously hurts. But I think you're a little more. I was happy leaving A-Day. I thought Alabama showed they answered some questions I had about them.
All right, so how did your expectation? I mean, well, first contextualize. What were your expectations going into A-Day for 2026, and did they change at all? And if so, how?
Well, I guess the big question to start with was the quarterbacks. Everyone kind of wanted to see what Keelan Russell and what Austin Mack can do, under center in a scrimmage-like format like they played in. And I think the play, Joe, you said yourself, the play calling revealed a lot. It looked like they were a lot more comfortable with Keelan in the game. They did all the red zone reps with Keelan in the game. They ran the ball less with Keelan at under center. And then Mac had that one really bad interception. I just kind of wanted to see who, like from the quarterback position, I didn't want to see who was going to make the wow plays, really. I just wanted to see who looked more in command of the offense. And to me, I would say that's Keelan. So that was my first big question, or my first big expectation, I guess, answered. I think Keelan Russell has potential to be one of the best quarterbacks in the country, but I wanted to see, how comfortable he is up to this point, only in his, second spring. So I guess that's my big thing for starters.
You're naming your starting quarterback right now. Which one is it?
I think it's Keelan Russell. I'm pretty confident in that. I've been pretty confident in that, and I think A-Day only amplified that a little, if you will.
So Bama Central is split 2-2, Joe, with you and Hunter on Austin Mack, me and Henry Keelan. So Katie's the decider.
Well, Katie's the only vote that actually matters.
Yeah, so we got to get Katie's next week.
All right, we will. We'll do that. We'll do that. And I want to be clear. I think that Keelan still can win the job, but I think if you're playing a game today, if there's a game today, then Austin Mack is starting and carrying most of the offensive snaps. So we'll see. Henry, we're hanging out with Henry Sklar right here on the Joe Gaither Show, talking about Alabama A-Day. What did you think of the running game? Everybody was rightfully concerned after last season's ineptitude in the run game. Were you moved at all? It seemed like a lot of people, I was not very impressed. You just said that the Alabama offense was moving here and there and doing pretty well. What did you make of the running game? Can you see it improved from last year, and can you see it taking more steps over the summer and fall?
Yeah, I mean, A-Day doesn't really move my opinion on the run game too much. I don't know if Alabama has a really good run defense. I mean, the last time, obviously it's a lot of different personnel, but the last time we saw the Alabama run defense in an actual game, they were getting gashed in the Rose Bowl by Indiana's two-headed monster in the backfield with Roman Hemby and what was the other guy's name? Keelan Black, yeah. So I don't know if Alabama's run defense is a good measuring stick for the run game. And it's kind of hard because I don't think Alabama's issue in the run game was a talent thing. I think it's pretty easy to concede that Daniel Hill is probably a pretty talented running back. You'll have EJ Crowell when he gets more healthy, maybe gets up to speed a little more, like Kalen DeBoer said. There's a lot of talent in that room. And I don't think Alabama against Alabama is the best measuring stick. I don't think we're really going to know probably till they play Florida State whether they're going to be a capable running team this year. But I think the offseason will help. Time always helps installing philosophy stuff and schematic stuff. And I think, the guys stay in the playbook, the offensive line, continues to practice on the sleds and continues to, Ryan Grubb installs in a more competent blocking scheme in the run game, then that's when we'll see improvement. So I think more time over the offseason will probably help with that, but it's kind of hard to answer right now still.
Why don't you jump right in there and take Everett Osmer's question? And Everett, you texted me yesterday saying you left a voicemail. I'm looking in our system and never saw it, so I apologize about that. I don't see a voicemail from you, Everett, this time, but please feel free to call back again at 205-462-7340, extension 800. Henry, do you think that Keelan Russell is ready for SEC play, is Everett Osmer's question.
I think Keelan Russell and Austin Mack are probably as ready as each other. I mean, I guess Austin Mack has a little more on-field experience, like he played in the Rose Bowl. But I understand that's the biggest stage in college football, but I don't put too much stock into that personally. I mean, Alabama was already down like 28 by the time he got in the game, and like he did some good things. He looked, a little more mobile than Ty Simpson in that game because Ty was dealing with injuries. But I don't know, you have Austin Mack, a guy who's been in college for 2 more years than Keelan Russell, but they have essentially the same amount of playing experience. So, what makes Mack more experienced, or what makes Mack more ready for SEC play? Like, him and Russell have both been in the program for over a year at this point. I don't really see, a big difference personally. I think either guy, you're just going to have to ride it out with, and hopefully you can pick off some wins early and get them comfortable.
That's exactly where I'm at. That's the point that I've been reiterating for a while, because at the end of the day, how much of a benefit are the 2 extra years in the system that Austin Mack has when it's not compounded with any game time experience? They've played the same amount, right? Austin Mack had that extra half in the Rose Bowl, but I think I'm at a similar spot where is any first-year starter ever ready for SEC play?
Yeah, when is Keelan Russell going to be ready for SEC play? After Austin Mack loses Alabama a game, and then you're gonna do a 180 and switch? I think if you're confident in your guy, just go with him.
Well, preaching to the choir right here. It's exactly where I'm at with it too, Joe.
But I think you can get off to a good start with either of these guys.
But which guy? And this is where I'm you look at those first 5 games, right?
Yeah.
And you have a 5-game set where you should be 5-0. And I believe you can be 5-0 regardless of who the starter is. What happens when you go to Georgia, or when Georgia comes here, rather, when you go to Tennessee, when you have this stretch of games that begins? What does the version of Keelan Russell, who has already played 5 games and gone to 2 SEC road environments, and you have a 5-0 and you've built up some confidence, how much higher is your ceiling with the polished, prepared, experienced version of Keelan Russell when you enter into these big games?
Ask the same question with Austin Mack, and I think we have the same exact answer.
It's not the same exact answer because you know that one of these guys has a higher ceiling. You know it.
We think it.
You know it.
How do we know it? We've seen nothing. We've seen high school tape. We don't know anything. We all think it, and it's fine to think it. That's a fine position, but think and gut feeling and our guesses, our perceptions. That's all we're doing. We don't know anything yet. Look at these first 5 games. Where's the chance for the offense to reveal it, for the quarterback play to reveal itself and think, oh, we need to change? You play in Eastern Carolina, you're going to wipe the floor with them. You go to Kentucky, if you struggle, you take Austin, you start with Austin Mack. You start Austin, you go to Kentucky, you struggle, win, whatever. You play Florida State here in Tuscaloosa, struggle, win. Then the conversation kind of starts. Oh, what's going to happen? South Carolina comes. That you start the season off with Austin, and if you're struggling in the South Carolina game in front of the friendly confines of Bryant-Denny Stadium, that's where you throw Keelan in. He can play, save your bacon in the South Carolina game, go over to Starkville, get the cowbell experience, and then be here for the Georgia. I'm just not in a rush to cast Austin Mack aside.
I don't think we're trying to cast him aside. I think I'm just looking at the reality of what I believe is a guy with a higher ceiling. If you want to say we don't know that, sure. Well, I strongly, strongly believe that Keelan Russell has a higher ceiling. Yeah, Cam Metzger coming in on the comment. Austin Mack, inconsistent at times, limited ceiling. Keelan does not have the experience, but a much higher ceiling, in my opinion. That's pretty similar to where I'm at. let's remember, like, it's not like Austin Mack is some incredibly polished football player. Like, if you were looking at a guy who maybe had transferred in from another program or something, had starting experience under his belt, then I think it's a different story. Austin Mack could probably be a good player. I'm not trying to disagree with the idea that he has talent. When you have two guys in the same position who have not played, go with the one with the much higher ceiling, as long as they are pretty similar right now, which I believe they are. Henry?
I mean, yeah, I pretty much agree with everything you said. Like, and also, like, not to look too far into the future, but like, is it a better, like, I don't know. Like, you can make the argument either way, because I guess Austin's been in the program for a while. You know, are you rewarding the guys who have stuck it out with you, or are you going to just go for the best play? I don't know. But is that really a great look? Like, if you're a 5-star QB and you see this whole situation where, like, Alabama brings you in and you have a realistic chance to win the starting job for your sophomore season, and then they go with an older guy, and I don't know, maybe Austin Mack leads them to a really good season, but like, is that the best look for Alabama? Because then I think if Keelan like doesn't get in by like midway through the season or wherever we want to set the benchmark, like, when does it get to a point where you're talking about, all right, this guy might leave? Because like, I don't know, like he's a 5-star guy. He's gonna want to, like, he wants to play. They all want to play. So I don't know. I think Keelan just has a high, like we've said, he has a higher ceiling, and I would rather take the chance with that guy than go with the safe pick, in my opinion.
And two more real quick points as we wrap this up. First of all, 2027 Keelan Russell is a much better football player if 2026 Keelan Russell starts 12 games. That's the first point. Secondly, when you just look at the actual team, right, and the fact that we don't know what, the run game or what the offensive line is going to look like, and we may be in a position where, as Cam Metzger is saying in the comments, first of all, we don't want to rely on a check down QB, but beyond that, we want a guy who can really improvise, who can, seems like Keelan Russell has the ability to make things happen on broken plays. Seems like he can play this kind of backyard football a little bit for Alabama. I want that ability in my quarterback, knowing what this offensive line may look like.
Don't you think that's the perfect pivot though, Theo? You start with Austin Mack and you let him try to operate the offense as it's designed, and if he does, great, you're winning games. But as soon as he doesn't, you say, well, great, we've got this pivot right here, and here's this little bit, I don't want to say wild card, but a little bit of a wild card, kind of a really high ceiling kind of a player. Don't you like play the other way? You start with Keelan Russell against Eastern Carolina. He struggles against Kentucky on the road. That second week, still struggling against Florida State. Is there not any sort of semblance of, well, you can't really go to Austin Mack then because you've already told Austin Mack you're not really good enough, even though you've been in the system. We're starting Keelan Russell. Like, you start Austin Mack, and then if he goes 11 for 24 for 114 yards, a touchdown, and 2 interceptions, and you lost the game, then there's an easy pivot there to Keelan Russell.
If you have 2 QBs, you have 0. A million people have said that line. Like, I think it's going to be really hard. If, first of all, you're right. Yeah, it's hard to give Keelan the job and then take it away from him. It's also hard to name Austin Mack the starter, say he's your guy, and then how do you define the parameter for benching him?
Mm-hmm.
Because
you got 2 years of evidence that didn't get benched.
Like, it's very hard to make that decision. Like, oh, you struggled on the road against Kentucky. You threw, maybe pure hypothetical, you throw 2 picks and Alabama wins the game by 10 points. And it's, well, we're a little worried. But it's also this guy's first SEC road game. So that you name Austin Mack the starter, you have to give him kind of a longish leash. You name Keelan Russell the starter, you're kind of laying in bed with Keelan Russell then. I think the decision, a firm decision, has to be made in August.
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, one thing I think of, like, it's kind of hard to compare quarterback battles, but I mean, one job you can look at last year was Ole Miss. They started the season off with Austin Simmons. He was the younger guy. He was only a junior. I'm pretty sure Austin Simmons was a 4 or 5 star. I forget how high he was ranked, but I know he was a pretty highly touted recruit. You start off with him, things go wrong, he gets injured, and then they had Trinidad Chambliss waiting in the wings, takes over and becomes one of the best quarterbacks in the country. and leads you down on a playoff stretch. I know it's a little bit different. Chambliss obviously was a transfer in from a smaller, a lower level, and like he wasn't expected to win the job. That was always Austin Simmons' job in the offseason. But that's an example of a younger guy starting the season, and when he got healthy, they still pivoted to the older guy, and now he's there for another year, or he's trying to be at least. And Austin Simmons is somewhere else. So I don't know. Like maybe you have a situation like that on your hands where you can go with the younger guy.
Maybe you do. It's going to be a long summer of debating Keelan Russell and Austin Mack, and we'll see how it develops. I do think it's close. I just think that you've got an experienced quarterback. You're going to start off with him, and if he sinks, then you throw the lifeline out that is Keelan Russell. Henry, any other 8A thoughts that you want to get out there or talk about? You want to talk about any of the defensive stuff? I appreciate you bringing up the kickers because we haven't brought that up at all this week. And Locke and Quinn did look very, very competent. Connor Talty was, 2 of 3, one of 2. He missed one. He made the rest of them. So appreciate you bringing up the kickers. Anything else from the 8A front that you've got on your mind that you want to get out here on a Friday?
Yeah, I mean, I guess just quickly, one thing I do know for certain is Alabama's cornerback room is going to be really, really deep. Probably one of the best in the country. Jordan Edmonds looked great, in my opinion. Like, I think he was one of the best players on the defensive side of the football. He made some eye-catching plays for sure. It was a little hard to see from where I was inside the north end zone suite. But he made some eye-popping plays. I know he had that one pass breakup on Ryan Coleman-Williams, and then he had a few more big plays on defense. He had a few tackles there. And then you also have Zion Gibson. The secondary is going to be really good. Like, that's the one thing I'm so confident on in going into the summer. They're going to be great.
Alabama secondary might be the best secondary in college football, and I feel pretty confident saying that.
Yeah,
I mean, so many absurdly talented players who aren't even going to see the field regularly.
It's wild. Yes, you're going to send Xavier, lining up for a first-round draft pick selection. Keon and Bray will be NFL picks. Golly, Dijon has to stay until one more year. So, yes, insane talent in the back end of the Alabama defense. So that'll be a lot of fun to see and a lot of fun to watch. We'll keep covering Alabama football throughout the rest of the year in the summer. Feel free to jump in and leave us comments like Cam Metzger and like Everett Osmer have done on the Facebook machine today. Henry, let's pivot real quick. We wanted to have you on last week to talk Masters. We had some wires crossed, so we didn't get some Masters coverage. What is going on in the golf world? What did you make of the Masters? What's going on with JT? Why don't you make it a little Alabama-esque, Alabama-flavored golf update? How did you like the Masters? I know you were partying so hard, that's why we missed each other. And then just kind of what's going on in the golf world as it relates to Alabama.
Yeah, I mean, last week, obviously it was one of the best weeks, most highly anticipated weeks of the golf calendar. And Rory McIlroy gets it done. It was honestly, it was a really exhilarating Sunday finish. Like, even for non-golf fans, Sunday was so entertaining. Like, I think anybody could have watched that and enjoyed it. So that was pretty great to watch. JT, it looked like he was going to be in the running early on Thursday. He was 2 under through 9. He hit 7 out of 7 fairways, so he was driving the ball really well, 8 out of 9 greens, but he just missed a few early opportunities with his putter. I think he really could have shot a lower number on the front 9 on Thursday. He could have definitely shot like 4 under and put himself on the first page of the leaderboard. And from there, I mean, mistakes kind of just compounded. He shot, 2 over 74 on Thursday to go back down to even. And he was just too inaccurate with the irons, to be honest, to give himself a real chance. The last week favored strongly accurate players. I mean, Augusta National always does. So if you're not like hitting every iron shot into the greens in the perfect spot and giving yourself at least 2 putts to get home for par, like, you're not going to win. And he didn't do that last week. But JT, he's still working his way back from, injury. He had surgery just like 3 months ago, and he's already played a lot this year. So I do think a win is still on the way for him. It's just kind of tough because, he's had a lot of up and downs early on this season, but he's only had 4 starts in 2026 already. He's only played in 4 tournaments, 2 of which being the Masters, and then the other one being the Players. So he finished 8th at the Players. So like he's giving himself chances at some of the biggest tournaments in golf. So like, I think a win will come, but JT just needs to play more and get more in a groove. He's playing right now, actually, at Harbor Town on Hilton Head. So we'll see how he finishes out. It's not looking great for him, but I think he just needs more reps in. And the more reps JT gets this year, the more comfortable the more comfortable he'll get. And he just needs to work his way back from that injury. Also for Alabama in the Masters, they had
Davis Riley,
a second straight year having the last place finisher. I don't know. That's
Roll Tide.
I was pretty disappointed for him because he's had some, like, even though Riley has not been in the greatest form since last season, he still performed pretty solid in majors. What was it? I think the PGA Championship he finished top 20 in. So like, I don't know. I was hoping for a little more out of him, but I don't know. Not a lot of Alabama representation last week, unfortunately. No Nick Dunlap in the field. Some other guys not there. So there wasn't much to watch for from Alabama, but I think from overall JT, he just needs to keep getting more reps in. Like I said, I kind of was hoping this week would be a better sign for him just because he's had so much success at the RBC Heritage before. He's a past winner there. He literally won last year. But yeah, it's rough for him right now. He's 5 over, but he still hasn't teed off today. So
unfortunate.
Henry, while we're talking Alabama golfers, I was really, following the season pretty casually. I was really impressed by Bud Cauley stringing together a bunch of results last year. Do you think we could see kind of a repeat season? Do you think he could continue trending up, or what's the outlook with him?
Yeah, it's tough because Bud Cauley's already 36. So that's kind of when, unless you're like a super elite player, like, unless you're like a Rory McIlroy.
He's in his prime.
You're a little like you're going to plateau a little bit at that point. I think last year was, a great career resurgence for him. Obviously having multiple finishes in the top 10 at the Valero and the Schwab. And he won in 2024, or actually he didn't win in 2020. I don't know, but I don't know. It's just tougher as you get older because you can't match the swing speed of the younger guys, and you're gonna naturally plateau off a little bit. But hey, he's still played in some big events this year, so we'll see how he does. And last year, he didn't really get rolling till the summer anyway. So yeah, I guess it was around this time last year is when we saw Bud Cauley kind of peaking. So I don't know. I don't know how much is in the cards for him. I think if there's an Alabama player who's going to have a breakout, it's probably going to be Nick Dunlap, and it's going to be whenever he can start hitting his driver at a consistent level. So we'll see when that is. But yeah, I don't know much. I don't know how good Bud Cauley is going to be able to do this season.
All right, Henry, the last golf question I have, it goes back to the Masters, and I just want your opinion and perspective on the controversy. It seemed like, I don't know, after Rory McIlroy won, you saw a lot of people go online and say things like, oh, anybody can win if they play the course 25 times in a month. Oh, it's not fair how much access he got to the course, his preparation, not fair. Complaining about Rory's approach to the Masters. One, is that unusual? Because I'm a very mild golf fan. And two, like what's stopping somebody like JT from playing at the Masters or playing at Augusta for a month ahead of the Masters? What was your perspective on Rory's approach to the tournament?
Well, I think the whole thing was that Rory took off 3 events in the Texas swing, and he took off
the watering the golf course. So address that as well. Go ahead.
Okay. So I think to start with him practicing, I think that's kind of a nothing burger. Like, guys go to Augusta for scouting trips all the time. Like, it's not an unforeseen thing. Like, guys do this every year. Obviously it has a different limelight on it because the winner said he went there 3 times before the tournament, but he also won. And also Rory McIlroy is probably going to be the rare example of a Masters winner he'll probably get full membership at Augusta National at some point in his lifetime. I've heard some people talk about it. It makes a lot of sense. He's kind of like the perfect ambassador for Augusta National and what they want to represent. And they talked ad nauseum in all the press conferences about how Rory was kind of like the perfect representative of the tournament and of the club and what they want a champion to be. He took the green jacket around the world. It was in Australia, India, Africa. It was all over the place. Like, he did a great job at, bringing it around and kind of giving it the coronation that it deserves, definitely. So I don't know. I don't think that's a big deal. JT could go to Augusta for a scouting trip as long as he's accompanied by a member at the club. So like that's all it is. And Rory has obviously a little bit of a better standing within the club than JT does as a champion. So like, I don't know. I think like I'm not too mad about that. Like it's part of the sport, but the watering of the greens thing, I was a little frustrated with that. I mean, I trust Augusta's like course management staff more than anybody to make the conditions good and make it fair for everyone. But Rory got such a good break on Friday. He got to play that back nine like 4 under because they water the greens. If that was the same time of the day on Thursday, it would have been much harder conditions, you know. And he was in the morning on Thursday, so like he didn't have to face the afternoon firmness really. And then they water the back 9 greens. So I thought that was a little frustrating, but at the same time, you had all the guys who were coming in with Rory playing the same conditions. You know, you had Justin Rose coming in at the same time. Bryson, he was a little more towards the afternoon wave, but like you had guys like that come in who had even easier conditions and they didn't perform well. So like, I don't know. He shot 6 under on Friday. So like, what do you like, I don't know. How far are the conditions really helping him? Like if he's that far ahead of the field, you know?
Who knows? That's why we asked you, Henry, because I have no real way to quantify that. And so, congratulations, Roy, your second Masters in a row, and we appreciate Henry giving us a little golf expertise this morning. Let's take a pivot here and get back on track with Alabama by talking about Cole Cloer. But before we do that, we need to remind everybody about Purple Turtle Roofing. At Purple Turtle Roofing, we're not just another contractor. We're your neighbor and your advocate when it comes to protecting your home or business. With years of hands-on experience, top-tier certification, and a commitment to excellence, we've built a reputation as Alabama's go-to roofing solution. We specialize in residential roofing, commercial roofing, emergency storm repairs, full-on roof replacements, insurance claims support, and more. Call them today at 877-787-6635 or visit them online at roofturtle.com. Roofing with heart, built to last. Purple Turtle Roofing. All right, we're hanging out in the Derry Daniel State Farm Studios with our friends Henry Sklar and Theo Fernandez. You follow Henry at Henry O. Sklar, and you follow Theo Fernandez at Theo Fernandez _. Theo, this week we have done the new basketball player segment 2 different times with Brandon Garrison and with Jamaria Davis-Fleming already. We're ready to go 3 times in a week. Cole Cloer becomes the newest Alabama basketball player, transferring from NC State to Alabama. He early enrolled last year at NC State, early enrolled and redshirted. He has come by way of IMG Academy. We're all familiar with IMG Academy, Tyler Booker. Most recently on the basketball team, Jacob Martin. So very familiar with IMG. But Cole Cloer comes to the Crimson Tide, 6'7", 190, 200-pounder, small forward wing type who looks like, to me, Sam Walters. What do you think? So what do you think, Theo?
I think Sam Walters is an atrocious comp for this guy. It's completely unfair.
Give it to us. Give it to us instead. What are we really getting in Cole Cloer?
Sam Walters was a 6'9" traffic cone who wasn't even that good at shooting threes. It was just that he was a little bit taller in shooting threes. Like if Sam Walters was 2 inches shorter, he would be flipping burgers. He will be flipping burgers in a year after he finishes playing for his 4th school in 4 years, regardless, because I know he's in the portal again right now. Cole Cloer, this guy is an athletic basketball player. He is, and I was watching his tape and stuff before. He is going to be the fan favorite in Tuscaloosa, not just because he is a white guy who can make threes, but also because he has the athleticism, right? You know, you see him driving, you see him attacking, you see him even kicking the ball out at times. This looks like a pretty complete offensive freshman for Alabama.
Henry, have you taken a look at Cole Cloer yet? What do you think of Cole or any of the 3 Alabama additions so far?
Yeah, one of my friends actually did some work at EBYL Peach Jam and saw Cole Cloer play. His the little sentence he wrote on him was, Cloer is a 6'7" wing with quick off dribble jumpers. He's a player who can get to his spots in the mid range relatively easy. So if that's like your one sentence scouting report on him, I think he's a pretty solid pickup for Alabama. I mean, that's kind of the roster recipe for this day and age in basketball. You need to have wings who can shoot, and if Cloer can do that, he can do that. That's good for Alabama. I mean, I don't know how much the mid range shots are really going to help him because Alabama doesn't like to shoot those, but I don't know. I haven't done much research into it. More or less, I think it's a solid pickup if he can shoot the 3 ball and he does those things that I just mentioned in that short little blurb.
Well, I think it's a solid pickup if he can play quality defense for you. That is ultimately what it's going to come down to, which I think he can. I think he's got the athleticism where, yeah, he should be able to plug in and figure to be not a liability. And then, I mean, if we're being honest, like about this freshman season, you don't think this is a one and done guy, and you don't think he's going to be doing much dribbling year one, right? Like at the end of the day, his role is going to be, yeah, you go and get to your spot and we're going to find you and you're going to drain this 3 for us. That is going to be like, you are a sharpshooter right now.
So
and then
Sam Walters. Sam was great here. Just stand in the corner, wait for the pass and shoot.
Yes, but I think that Cole Cloer creates better offensive spacing because he has the ability to do things that Sam Walters didn't.
So it's almost Grant Nelson. He's Grant Nelson super light.
Okay.
He's freshman Grant Nelson.
Come on.
Well, I mean, give me some expectation for that. I know I'm being like both ends of the opposite spectrum. It's like way good and way bad. But like, what are we thought? What are you really getting right here? Is it going to be Jaron Stevenson stand in the corner and go 1 of 4, like and get frustrated everybody because you only give us 3 rebounds? Like, is this guy even going to be get a huge role? Because it's hard to tell with all the puzzle pieces still kind of in the air. There's still 2 more roster spots available. You're still waiting to find out if Amari Allen is going to go to the draft or not. You're still waiting to kind of get clarity on Aiden Holloway. So Henry, what kind of a role do you think that a freshman wing needs to be filling for this team?
I don't know. I mean, like you said, like we're still waiting on a lot of question marks to be answered about Alabama's roster. The one thing I do think is interesting though is they're bringing in a lot of guys at the same size. Like when I did a quick look over Alabama's freshman class, aren't like all of the guys 6'6", like 6'7" range?
Oh yes,
yeah. Like so they're adding another guy in Cloer who's apparently 6'7". They said, how are you going to fit all these guys together? And like, who is going to get the most burn is my question. Like, are you going to ride with some of your freshmen or are you going to go with a transfer like this? Like, that's what I really want to see. I don't know how they're going to fit all these guys on the floor. Cause like they obviously need a big man out there. So that takes up one. Then you're going to have 2 guards at least. So how much space do you have for all these 6'7" wing players is my question.
Well, here's what's happening. Nate Oates is going the NBA route. You look at the way these NBA rosters are constructed on so many of the teams. It's take all of these 6'6" to 6'8", 6'9" wings, stretch threes, and put them on the court together, and you have 3 great full court basketball players on at the same time. And we see that all the time, right? These are the most popular guys in the NBA. These are the guys who this quote positionless basketball. Nate Oates is definitely making that a point of emphasis, right? And when you were just able to have a guy in Amari Allen come in and lead your team in rebounding, right, while doing so many that's, I understand it. It makes a lot of sense. And like Jackson Richardson is going to be one of your leading rebounders, in my opinion. He's going to be a guy who does a lot of the Amari Allen types. And Amari Allen might be back for all we know, right? That's an unlikelihood, but still possible. I think that Nate Oates is definitely making that a point of emphasis too. We can play a bunch of these wings at once, especially when I think a big piece of it is you've tried so many different things at the center position. You've tried here, we're going to bring in one of the 3 highest sought after centers in the transfer portal, a guy who's been great defensively his whole career. And Cliff Amore comes in and nothing special, not a perfectly natural fit with this program. You've tried whatever you did last year, right? Thinking, okay, a non-traditional center maybe in Taylor Bull Bowen. What can he do for this team? And a lot of reasons Bull Bowen didn't quite work. And obviously, yeah, Sherrell gave you some success. But I think you're kind of operating under the assumption / understanding that it's not going to be easy to just plug in an elite center to this offense. And you're always going to have a big guy on the court, right? That's why we're bringing in Davis Fleming and Garrison, and I'm blanking on the third guy.
Cloer, just now.
Oh, yeah, it's just those two. Huh?
Yeah. Just those two bigs.
Like, you're going to have one of those bigs on the court a lot, but I think you're also going to try to run it with these smaller guys and play some small ball. And you're never going to struggle in the half court because you're going to have your point guard. You're going to have your offensive leader, whether it is Holloway, whether it is someone else that you bring in.
Or Preston Murphy Jr.
I think we might see times without a true point guard on this team on the court just because of the talent you have with these wings.
Yeah, if you believe in Jackson Richardson as a ball handler, which I think that there is, right? There's pretty good evidence to say you should. Then you're looking at Aiden Holloway, you're looking at Amari Allen, and you're looking at Jackson Richardson right now as your three kind of. These guys are going to drive the offense, and so you look at the rest of the roster, and it's a bunch of threes. It's a bunch of guys. Oh, you're a 3, you're a 4, you're a 3, you're a 4. And I guess you could talk me into Jamarian Davis Fleming and Brandon Garrison actually being a 5, but I think they're a little more 4-like. And so you're going to get what? One ball handler, a bunch of 4s, and maybe a tweener 5 out there. Going to really, really lean into the pace, really, really lean into the spacing. I could see it working. You got 2 more spots to fill. Yes. You got to use them strategically.
London Jemison is also such a massive part of this because he didn't look great at the 4 last year. I mean, I remember A&M just going right over him to grab a rebound and almost send the game to OT, right? Rylan Griffin on that 3-pointer.
Yep.
If London Jemison can take steps as a quote-unquote big man and at least be a plus or neutral rebounder for this team, that unlocks so much. If you are really able to have him as, you're our power forward. You're one of our bigger guys defensively. Because I think Jemison, I've said it before, I'll say it again, I think he's going to be such a big-time offensive player for this team. I think that is probably your second or third leading scorer on this roster. So I think we're going to see a lot of fun looks from this team, and I think you're pretty on the head there with what you said, Joe.
Henry, any other basketball thoughts, roster management, roster construction thoughts before we pivot one more time?
Not too many, to be honest. I mean, I'm assuming they're not done in the portal. I'm assuming they're probably going to bring in more guys. You still probably still need a guard, I'd say, like a true guard. Maybe another big. I don't know. I mean, we'll see how it shakes out, though.
You see what happened to Cruz?
No, did he commit?
Cruz committed to Texas Tech sometime late last night. This morning, I woke up to seeing his graphic of guns up.
So clearly, Grant McCasland was doing some work in Tampa.
Heck yeah, a little tampering
too.
A little tampering.
Tampering.
No, rumor is that Alex Wilkins, the Furman guard who is so good in the pick and roll, is being pursued.
I've heard strong connections with him in Kentucky.
I have too. And is it Donnie Freeman from Syracuse? Is that the name? You're hearing a lot of buzz about him as well.
People are really high on him. I might be a little lower on him than most people, but people seem to think that that's a big time player.
Well, we will see.
Dylan Mingo or nothing.
Oh, and then just to update everybody, Cade Phillips, if you're not paying attention, Cade Phillips ended up transferring to Texas A&M, not choosing Alabama.
Don't lose any sleep over that.
Yeah, I think he's probably getting paid handsomely to give them whatever he's giving them. All right, Henry, last topic for us today. We appreciate you hanging out with us. We're hanging out with Henry Sklar. You can follow him at Henry Sklar. This weekend, he's going to be covering Alabama softball for Bama Central. He covers all kinds of things for us at Bama Central: golf, football, softball, basketball, really everything follow him at Henry Sklar. Henry, you are a Philadelphia Eagles fan, and so we've been talking about the NFL draft for the last 3 weeks-ish. We've been dabbling in some NFL draft for the last 3 weeks. Yeah, that's all right. That's all good. Get in the spirit here. What I want to do with you today is Wednesday we did the 7-round mock draft. I think Wednesday we did a 7-round mock draft that Dane Brugler had the Philadelphia Eagles taking Caden Proctor with their first overall pick, and that sent Theo into an obvious celebration mode because that's his favorite player and his favorite team. So I want to ask you, if you were Howie Roseman, if you had to draft one Alabama player, because that's been the Philadelphia Eagles trend over the last handful of years. Eagles, either an Alabama or a Georgia player. We're going to exclude the Georgia players right here for the sake of this conversation. Henry, you are Howie Roseman. You've got to take one Alabama player, but you can take it with any of your Philadelphia Eagles picks right here. No trading around. Pick any of your picks that you've got. Let's pull up the Eagles picks right here. You probably are looking at it right there. Eagles draft picks.
Let me say on the record while we do this, I do not like this segment.
Well, you know what? This segment's about Henry. All right, you're at 23, 54, 68, 98, all right, so on and so forth. So I've got all the picks right here. Take it away, Henry. You are Henry Howie Roseman Sklar, and you've got to take one Alabama player. Who is the perfect fit for your Philadelphia Eagles, and what is the right value?
Yeah, so if I was selecting for the Eagles is it just pick 22 or sorry, can you repeat that?
You have 23 in the first round. You have 54 overall in the second round. You have 2/3, 68 and 98. You have 2/4, 114 and 137, and a few more.
Okay, I'm going to throw a little curveball here. So, I mean, obviously I would like Proctor. He would be very nice if we could get him at 23, and I think that would be honestly a steal from a value standpoint. But it looks like the Eagles are going to also be going after a successor for Dallas Goedert in this draft. So why not on day 3 go after a guy like Josh Cuevas? I mean, the Eagles struggled a lot last year with pass blocking from their tight ends. Dallas Goedert didn't give them much. Grant Calcaterra didn't give them much. That was honestly one of the biggest reasons why Saquon Barkley had a downtrend, aside from the offensive play calling and the issues with the scheme. Our tight ends didn't give us much in the run game, to be honest. So they already went out and signed Johnny Munt, who was on the Jaguars. He had connections to the Eagles coaching staff, some of the new guys they brought in. And he's going to be primarily a blocking tight end. So why don't you go out and get the other end of the spectrum, a guy like, Cuevas, who's had success in the passing game at Alabama. He was Ty Simpson's biggest security blanket in the passing game last year. It seemed like Alabama struggled when he was off the field a lot. And I don't think Cuevas really has the upside to be an impact NFL starter. But I think whatever role that you put him in, he'll be a guy who can do what you ask of him. So maybe if that's in a little different role, like an H-back or a fullback, or just as a guy only in the passing game, whatever Sean Mannion wants to do with him if the Eagles are taking him. But I don't know. Maybe they go after a guy like that. That's where my head is at. Because I don't know if a guy like Kenyon Sadiq is going to be there at 23, and that's kind of the big tight end you want to go after. So unless they're going to make a trade, which I wouldn't put it past them, knowing Howie Roseman, I think a guy like Cuevas I'm going to call my shot. Last year I called it with Jahad Campbell. I can pull up the stream. I said if he was going to be there at pick 32, sprint to the podium. They actually traded up one pick to go and get him. But I'll call it this year. Josh Cuevas will be the Eagles' Alabama player.
Please draft Josh Cuevas and throw him in pass protection against Abdul Carter. And watch how that ends. And watch Jalen Hurts get knocked.
Like I said, this is a day 3 pick. This is not a guy we're putting out there in NFC East battles just yet. But
all he's doing is chipping Abdul Carter and chip and release, and Jalen Hurts is dumping off to him.
Abdul Carter runs right through him.
Chip and release, and it catch the dump off and take it for 12 yards.
Abdul Carter runs through him for his second career sack or his third?
What was your record against the Giants last year? Was it 1-1?
1-1. I don't know.
Even
We
the
did
score
make the
here.
playoffs. We did win the Super Bowl 2 years ago, and we did make the playoffs, and we did
Always
win the
living in
division. We
Eagles
won the
fans.
division for the first time, and like we won back to back. No one's done that in like 20 years. Come on.
All right, Henry, we believe in the fair time doctrine around here. I only had the Eagles picks pulled up, but I just pulled up the Giants pick. Giants have 37 overall in the second round. No third round picks. God, you need some third round picks if you're trying to rebuild a team.
Hey,
Look at these Eagles picks. The Eagles have 1, 2, 3, 4 picks in the first 3 rounds. You guys have only 2 picks.
Okay, to be fair, we traded up for Jackson Dart with the third round.
That was a dumb decision. Okay. But you can be the who is the new Giants GM?
There's no news.
Still showing what Joe Shane?
Yeah.
Oh
don't
my
get
God.
me started.
Oh wow. All right, so you're Joe Shane for 2 minutes.
Please don't make me beat you.
You can't trade. You can't trade back or trade up. Which Alabama player are you taking and what pick? You got a round 1, number 5, round 2, number 37, 4, 105, round 5, 145. 3 in round 6. Man, hey, those round 6 draft picks go hard for the Giants.
Oh, they do. We live in day 3. We're demons there. I'm going to Monty Jackson, honestly. I think that the upside still exists more so than a lot of these other day 3 picks, right? I mean, you've got all the physical gifts needed to be a quality, I think, NFL cornerback. And obviously, we know that things didn't come together last season. This is a guy who's talked about as a day 1 pick at one point, or at least a high day 2 pick. I like the idea of taking a day 3 flyer on Domani Jackson and seeing, hey, can you get things back on track, turn yourself into a quality NFL defensive back? I think there's a good shot. The answer is yes there.
There we go. So you got Josh Cuevas going to the Eagles and Domani Jackson going to the Giants in our hypothetical world, and we'll see what happens next Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
I am interested in the kind of disconnect of Bears at 25, and you're in the boat of, no, I do not want Caden Proctor to be available there. I don't want to be in the position to take him, versus Henry, 23 would be a steal.
Take that, Henry. Would you love Caden Proctor at 23?
Yeah, I mean, like he's an athletic offensive tackle prospect. Like I've always want those on my team. He comes from an institution of football. I think that's when Howie Roseman really got back on track of drafting, is when he stopped taking guys from like weird schools. Like, no offense to TCU out there, but like, dude, there's an LSU wide receiver right there in front of you. Why are you taking the receiver out of TCU? Like, why? I think that was the real switch when he started just drafting Georgia and Alabama players. It's not a hard code to crack. If Caden Proctor is there, I'd be very happy with drafting him and trying to mold him to a successor for like Lane Johnson, or like honestly, you could plug him in probably inside as well for year 1 if we want to. Like,
I'd be terrified. To watch him 16, 17 times a year. Do I think it could work out for Chicago or for Philly or for wherever? Yes, it could. I think he's got all the potential in the world, but he is one of the more volatile prospects, in my opinion, in this draft. He could become all-pro, 10 years, all-pro, amazing, Jonathan Ogden type, or he could become, 3-4 years out of the league. You never hear from him again, and you set back your entire offense by taking him. Terrifies me.
Who would you take, Joe? Who's your Bears out?
I'm going to go Parker Brailsford in the 3rd round. Bears have a couple of 3rd round picks. I'm going. You lost a center to retirement this year, and you traded for Garrett Bradbury from the New England Patriots. I think that's a partial fix. I would love the Bears have struggled for the last at least a decade in finding a homegrown center, developing a center. Struggled. I would like to draft a center and develop him. Put 10 pounds of muscle on Parker Brailsford. Tell him he doesn't really have to play this coming year. Just gets to watch. Gets to fill in where he needs to if somebody gets hurt. But yeah, I would like to develop Parker Brailsford in the 3rd round for the Bears. And that's going to do it for our show today. We got to get out of here. We got a busy day ahead of us. Alabama is taking on Texas in baseball. You got time?
Yeah, I got time.
What time? What time tonight? Alabama.
Oh, yeah, it's 6 o'clock.
Thank you. Alabama's taking on Kentucky in softball at 5 o'clock. I'll have your coverage over at the Rhodes House, and then we'll do Alabama softball at 1:30 tomorrow and 1:30 again on Sunday, right, Henry?
Yes, sir.
There we go.
Excited.
So that's
Alabama has never lost a softball game with me in attendance.
Ooh, bold to put that out there right there. I hope it's not the announcer's jinx. I hope that continues for Patrick Murphy and them girls. If you're going to Morgan Wallen this weekend, we hope you enjoy yourself. Send us some pictures. Send us a photo. Enjoy yourself responsibly. Call an Uber. Be in the stadium. Don't do anything too crazy. Look, did you see what they did in the stadium? They put hard covering, hard flooring on the field.
I snuck up and took a peek at it yesterday when I was at work. And man, it is interesting.
They turned the field into a dance floor, basically. So we will see what happens this weekend at Bryant Denny Stadium with the Morgan Wallen concert. We're going to get out of here for the day. Follow Henry Sklar at Henry O. Sklar, Theo Fernandez at Theo Fernandez _. Check out Purple Turtle Roofing for all of your roofing needs. Call Derek Daniel for your State Farm insurance needs. Find us on the Bama Central YouTube channel, Facebook page. Listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Amazon, Spotify. We'll talk to you on Monday on the Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central, BamaCentral.com.
Thanks for joining us on today's edition of the Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central. Keep up with Joe on all his social media pages at Joe Gaither6. Subscribe, rate, and review the show on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and be sure to read us daily at BamaCentral.com.